Hey, hello everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we are going to start a new paper, paper 28, Ministering Spirits of the Super Universes instead of the local, the central universe. And we should be live on Facebook. Yep, we're live on Facebook. So let's say a little prayer and we'll get started for the evening. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study your wonderful revelation. We thank you for all these people that come to the meetings and all the people that listen to us at home and live and on Vimeo and YouTube. We thank you for everyone that has the opportunity to learn a little bit from this book and apply it to their lives and become ready for the mansion worlds, ready to meet you eventually. We pray that you'll be with us tonight and open our hearts and minds that we might share it with others and that we might do your will in our lives. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
All right. All right. Dear, would you like to take the first paragraph?
Okay. Paper 28, Ministering Spirits of the Super Universes. As the Supernaphim are the angelic host of the central universe and the Seraphim of the local universes, so are the Seconaphim the ministering spirits of the super universes, in decree of divinity and in potential of supremacy. However, these children of the reflective spirits are much more like Supernaphim than Seraphim. They serve not alone in the super creations, and both numerous and intriguing are the transactions sponsored by their unrevealed associates.
Let me mention this before we get into the meat of this paragraph. And that is this. Notice here it says they serve not alone in the super creations, and both numerous and intriguing are the transactions of their sponsored by their unrevealed associates. What do you think that is?
Angelic beings.
Yeah, that tells us there's
1 hour.
bukus and bukus of other angelic beings that they don't even tell us about, right? And so I just wanted to bring that up right at the beginning. The ones they teach us about are mostly the ones that we will interact with or we will have something to do with on the ascension plan. So that's the main ones they tell us about. But what I want to bring up here too in this paragraph is this. They talk about the Supernaphim and the Seraphim and the Seconaphim, right? So it's easy to remember because the highest one, the Supernaphim, right, are the angels of the central universe, right? The Seconaphim are the second level, are the angels of the the 7 super universes, right? And then the Seraphim are the angels of the local universes. Okay, so that's the 3 level of angels. As we progress up, we start out with Seconaphim, cherubim, and nanobim, right? And that's who we'll interact with most when we get to the mansion worlds. But as we go up to the super universe, right, then we'll be dealing with Seconaphim, the second level, right? And then eventually, when we get to Havana, we'll be dealing with Supernaphim. Okay. Now, this paper is about the ministering spirits of the super universe, not the local universe. Okay, there's a whole different paper. Paper 38 deals with the Seraphim and the cherubim and nanobim or sanabim, and that's paper 38, and that's just the local universe angels. Okay, so we're not going to talk about them much tonight. So these are the super universe angels. Okay, it can get confusing. All right. Gary, would you take the next sentence and the three items there, please?
Okay. As presented in these narratives, the ministering spirits of the super universes embrace the following 3 orders. Seraphim,
Seconaphim,
Seconaphim, the Tertiaphim,
Tertiaphim.
Tertiaphim, not doing well here.
Yeah.
Omniaphim.
Omniaphim. That's
I
right.
got that one right.
You got that one right for sure. Now, these are the main three angels of the super universe. Okay. Not any other type of universe, just the super universe. Okay. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. Since the latter two orders are not so directly concerned with the ascendant scheme of mortal progression, they will be briefly discussed prior to the more extended consideration of Seconaphim. Technically, neither Tertiaphim nor Omniaphim are ministering spirits of the super universes, though both serve as spirit ministers in these domains.
Okay, and this can be confusing if you don't understand what they're talking about. So the Seconaphim are the one we deal with mostly on our ascension scheme. Okay, the Tertiaphim and the Omniaphim are not directly related to the ascension plan, but we will deal with them some. Okay, so that's why they say they're going to deal with the first two because they barely mention them. Okay, and then the third one they're going to tell us more about because that's the one we interact with. Okay, but they also tell us here that technically that the Tertiaphim and the Omniaphim are considered ministering spirits of the super universe, even though they're more like a on loan to the super universe. Okay, that's what they're meaning here. They'll both serve as spirit minister in. Notice that in is kind of hyphenated. They serve in the domain, but they are directly not ministering spirits. Notice the of is kind of hyphenated, of the domain. Okay, so really they're from not directly related to the seven super universes. Okay, so let's start out with the Tertiaphim. Rodney, would you take that one, please? Yeah, you don't.
Yes, one, the Tertiaphim. These high angels are of record on the super universe headquarters, and despite service in the local creations, technically they are residents of these super universe capitals, in as much as they are not native to the local universes. Tertiaphim are children of the infinite spirit and are personalized on paradise in groups of 1,000. These supernal beings of divine originality and near supreme versatility are the gift of the infinite spirit to the creator sons.
So yeah, they are technically paradise angels, aren't they? If you come right down to it, because they're created directly from the infinite spirit. Okay, and they're loaned to the paradise sons when they go out to start their local universes. Okay, and we're going to find out more about this in this next paragraph. All right, so Pam, would you take the next one, please?
Yeah. When a Michael son is detached from the parental regime of paradise, and is made ready to go forth on the universe adventure of space, the infinite spirit is delivered of a group of 1,000 of these companion spirits, and these majestic Tertiaphim accompany this creator son when he embarks upon the adventure of universe organization.
Okay, so 1,000 of these are assigned or loaned to the creator son and the creative mother spirit. Okay, and they go out when a Michael son starts his local universe, and this is the staff of the creator son until the creator son and the local universe mother spirit starts to create their own angels and their own staff. Okay, so they're loaned to him, and definitely however long it takes them to start creating angels. And then when the first angel comes out, which will be the Gabriel, right? Will be the first angel that the creative mother spirit and Michael will create. And when that happens, then these spirits are released from service from the creator son. All right. So, Diane.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Gary.
Creator sons like Michael comes out of heaven
Yeah, paradise.
and they create their own universe,
Right.
but they're not head of it. They're not sole solvent.
They're not sovereign of it. Yes, they're head of it, but they're not sovereign until they've
So
done their bestowals. Right.
They
Right.
get permission to do.
They get permission to do. They are what they call the vicegerent of God the Father. Okay. So technically, God the Father is head of the new local universe until the Michael son has time to prove his sovereignty by doing the 7 bestowals. So you're right. He doesn't own it until when? Until he's done all 7 of the bestowals. Then the creator son, the creative mother spirit own that universe, that local universe, right? So it's on loan to him, right?
Okay, he has to pay his dues.
He has to pay his dues, just like we do, right? However long that takes. Now, we know it took over 1 million years for Michael to even get through his 7 bestowals, right? So this is not something they get in a hurry to get done. It's something that takes a lot of time, just like it takes us a lot of time to get to paradise, right?
Hey,
Can't get in a
Roger.
hurry to get there. Yeah.
So is that 1 million years from the very beginning of creating all the worlds to?
No, that's just when he starts on his mission in the local universe. They'll spend probably billions of years preparing for creating this local universe.
Wow.
And they do this by studying other creator sons that's already done this.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think it was 4, if I remember correctly, it was 4 billion years from the time Michael was created till the time he actually started his local universe, if I remember
Wow.
correctly. That's a long time, right?
Yes.
Because they have to create the planets. The planets take millions of years to develop, populate and create beings, and that's so it's a long, drawn, slow process, right? All right. It's interesting too because the mother spirit and the Michael start out about the same time, but it's a long period of time before they come together to start the local creation, right? So they train separately. All right. Okay. Diane, could you take the next one, please?
Throughout the early times of universe building, these 1,000 Tertiaphim are the only personal staff of a creator son. They acquire a mighty experience as son assistants during these stirring ages of universe assembling and other astronomical manipulations. They serve by the side of the creator sun until the day of the personalization of the bright and morning star, the firstborn of a local universe. Thereupon, the formal resignations of the Tertiaphim are tendered and accepted. And with the appearance of the initial orders of native angelic life, they retire from the active service in the local universe and become the liaison ministers between the creator son of former attachment and the ancients of days of the super universe concerned.
So they go from being attached to the creator son, the creative mother spirit, to liaisons from them when they give their resignations, right? Okay, and at that point, when the bright and morning star is created, remember Gabriel is the bright and morning star. When he is created, or she, whatever it is created, that is the mother of the trio of all the angelic beings for the local universe. So all the seraphim, all the cherubim, all the Sanabim, all the smaller angels, all the angels of the local universe come from a united effort of the creative mother spirit, Michael, and Gabriel, right? So it's a
Gabriel
trio,
being the morning star, bright,
the bright morning star. That's
bright
right.
and morning star. Yeah.
And it's interesting because the first angels they create is the evening stars, okay? The bright and evening stars. So it's the way it works. And there's a picture of it. Universe Mother Spirit, Michael, Gabriel, and all the firstborns. All right. Okay. Now, so that was the Tertiaphim, right? The Tertiaphim. They don't tell us a whole lot about them because we don't do a whole lot with us. Okay, the next one's the Omniaphim, and they do even less. All right, so let's go on to them, the Omniaphim. Gary, would you take the number 2, the Omniaphim?
Yeah. The Omniaphim are created by the infinite spirit in liaison with the 7 super executives, and they are the exclusive servants and messengers of the same super executive, supreme executives.
Right.
Omniaphim are of grand universe assignment, and in Orvington, their corps maintain headquarters in the northerly parts of Uversa, where they reside as a special courtesy colony. They are not of registrar on Uversa, nor are they attached to any administration. Neither are they directly concerned with the ascendant scheme of moral progression.
So since
What
they're
do
not
they do?
yeah, they're not concerned with the mortal progression. Their concern is with the supreme executives and the ancients of days. Okay, and that's what this picture is down here. It shows that the infinite spirit gets together with the supreme executive of each of the 7 super universes, and they create all the Omniaphim for that local universe. I mean, for the super universe. Okay, and these are more like administrative angels more than anything else. Okay, so we won't have a lot to do with the Omniaphim. Okay, only has 1 more paragraph about them. There's not a lot they tell us about it. All right, Jane, would you take that second paragraph there?
Yeah. The Omniaphim are wholly occupied with the oversight of the super universes in the interest of administrative coordination from the viewpoint of the 7 supreme executives. Our colony of Omniaphim on Uversa receives instructions from and makes reports to only the supreme executive of Orphanton, situated on Conjoint Executive Sphere number 7 in the outer ring of Paradise satellites.
Okay, so they tell us where the supreme executives are, right? They're on the 7th sphere on the outer ring of Paradise satellites. Okay, and the Omniaphim reports to them and takes orders from them, and they relate that to the ancients of days. Now that's all they tell us about the Tertiaphim and the Omniaphim. Okay, that's it. So the rest of the paper is all about Seconaphim. And as we go through this, I do not want y'all to get confused. I'm going to show you something here. I don't want you to get confused with the Tertiaphim and the other spirits we're going to talk about, because they're all Seconaphim. Okay. All right, they're going to talk about primary and secondary and tertiary. These are not the same thing as the Seconaphim and the Tertiaphim and the Omniaphim that we just discussed, different angels. Okay, so the Seconaphim, all the angels we're going to talk about for the rest of this paper are all Seconaphim. Okay, all right. So let's start on the next one. Rodney, would you take the first paragraph on the Seconaphim? You look confused, Rodney.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
These Seconaphim
Seraphic Hosts, that's right.
are produced by the 7 reflective spirits assigned to the headquarters of each superuniverse. There is a definite paradise responsive technique associated with the creation of these angels in groups of 7. In each 7, there are always 1 primary, 3 secondary, and 3 tertiary Seconaphim. They always personalize in this exact proportion. When 7 such Seconaphim are created, 1, the primary, becomes attached to the service of the Ancients of Days. The 3 secondary angels are associated with 3 groups of paradise origin administrators in the super governments: the divine counselors, the perfecters of wisdom, and the universal censors. The 3 tertiary angels are attached to the ascendant trinitized associates of the super universe rulers, the mighty messengers, those high in authority, and those without name and number.
Okay, so this is where you can get confused if you let yourself, okay? First of all the Seconaphim, the Seraphic Host, are created by the 7 reflective spirits. You see this? There's 7 reflective spirits on Uversa, okay? And each one of them creates 7 Seconaphim. And in that group of 7, there's always 1 primary, 3 secondary, and 3 tertiary. Okay? You still with me, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not to be confused with the Seconaphim, the Tertiaphim, and the Omniaphim. These are not the same, right? The Seconaphim are separate individual angels, right? Okay, and these are the ones we're talking about, just the Seconaphim. All right, so they call them primary, secondary, and tertiary Seconaphim, but they're within the group of the first group, the Seconaphim. Still with me? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, they're a subgroup of the Seconaphim.
They're a subgroup of, you got it, Gary. You got the whole picture right there. Now, one of these, the first one created, is assigned to the Ancients of Days. Okay. The next 3 are assigned to these 3 beings, which are the super universe government associated beings of the divine counselor, perfecters of wisdom, and universal censor. And all 3 of these are what? Trinity created beings. You with me? All 3 of that group. The next 3 angels are assigned to beings that are come from ascendant mortal beginnings. Okay? And that is mighty messengers, those high in authority, and those without name and number. So the first 3 that come out are assigned to the paradise Trinity beings. The second group are assigned to the ascendant mortal origin beings. You see that? That's the difference in them. So the first 3 that are assigned to the paradise, see this paradise origin administrators of the super government, and those beings are the divine counselors, the perfecters of wisdom, and the universal censor. This is our court system, right? All right, that's who those 3 are. The next 3 are really ascendant mortals who have been trinitized, right? But all 3 of these came from mortals, all right? And so the next three angels, the Seconaphim, are assigned to them. And that's what this picture is about. See? Primary,
those-
secondary, and tertiary.
So the
Yeah.
second three could have been people that have ascended, reached God's status, say, and on their assignment, they was assigned to one of these three.
No, Gary, you're missing the point here. These angels are created as assistants to those beings that have ascended and that were mortals and ascended. So what we're talking about, the angels are created as assistants to ascendant mortals who have been trinitized, who have climbed the ladder.
So what you're saying, well, and maybe I misstated.
Yeah.
They might after we've climbed the ladder, we
Right.
may become maybe assigned as mighty messengers or those high in authority.
Or those
Am I-
without name or number. That's right. That's right.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. And then when you get to that point, you will be assigned a secondary Seconaphim of the 5th, 6th, and 7th order, right? That's the 5th, 6th, and 7th created of the 6th, of the 7th, right? That's what it's saying. So these beings are assigned to mortals who have been trinitized, right? That's the whole point of this. Okay, so this is a picture showing like reflective spirit number 7, right? Creating this group of 7 Seconaphim, right? The first one, the primary, is assigned to the Ancient of Days down here, right? The next 3 are assigned to the Trinity origin beings, which is the divine counselors, the perfecters of wisdoms, and the universal censors, right? The next 3 being created will be assigned as tertiary Seconaphim to mighty messengers, those high in authority, and those without name and number. And you can see these little beings down here look like they're mortals because they came from mortals. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have not reached finaliters. They're not finaliters yet.
No, because when they are trinitized and take up this job as mighty messengers, those high in authority or those without name and number, their name is removed from the roll call of the finaliters because they've been assigned permanent positions in these jobs. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
If they hadn't been assigned to these jobs, Jane, they would be in the core finality.
Mhm.
And eventually they will.
They probably will, but they will be in the core finality of trinitized beings rather than just mortals, right? Because they've been trinitized. Make sense? Okay, I didn't walk all over everybody, did I?
No.
Everybody understands. Okay. All right. So Rodney, I think you're up next. Oh, did you just read? No, Gary just read.
Oh, Gary just read.
Yeah. Okay. Rodney, you're up.
Okay. These Seconaphim of the super universes are the offspring of the reflective spirits. And therefore, reflectivity is inherent in their nature. They are reflectively responsive to all of each phase of every creature of origin in the third source and center and the paradise creator's sons. But they are not directly reflective of the beings and entities, personal or otherwise, of soul origin in the first source and center. We possess many evidences of the actuality of the universal intelligence circuits of the infinite spirit. But even if we had no other proof, the reflective performances of the Seconaphim would be quite sufficient to demonstrate the reality of the universal presence of the infinite mind of the conjoint actor.
Okay, so since they came from reflective spirits, they have the ability of reflectivity, all these angels, okay? And because they can reflect information back up the ladder, okay, that gives them proof that they already are in the circuit of the infinite spirit or the conjoint actor, okay? Now, I stuck the slide in here for the local universe circuits because it mentions something here in this paragraph. It says, many evidence of the actuality of the universe intelligent circuits. And if you don't know what that is, you have no idea what they're talking about, right? So the universal intelligent circuits is one of the local circuits of the local universe. And it's part of number 3 down here, which is the intelligent ministry of the circuitlet of the local universe, including the diversely functioning presence of the adjunct mind circuits.
Mind spirits.
Yeah, mind spirits, right? So since it's part of the adjunct mind spirits, guess who's plugged into this?
The infinite.
Infinite
The
spirit,
mothers, yeah,
right? You're right,
Sure.
and the mother spirit.
and the mother spirit.
Who else?
So we become plugged to it too.
We are plugged into it, the
Yeah.
intelligent circuit, right? Because this is the third part of what? The local universe circuits. What's the first one? The first one is the spirit of truth circuit,
Mhm.
right? Of the sun, Michael. The second one is the circuit of the Holy Spirit, which is
Holy
the local
Spirit.
universe mother spirit, right?
Mhm.
And guess what the third one is? It's the universe intelligent circuit, which is what?
Thought
Part of
adjust.
the mind circuit
Mind.
of the universe, right? You with me?
Mhm.
Okay, so think about it this way. Because we all have the 7 adjunct mind spirits, we're already plugged into the mind circuit of the infinite spirit, aren't we? Okay.
Mhm. So the third one, would that be the same? No. The cosmic mind, is that we call it the cosmic mind too?
It's what turns into part of the cosmic mind as we ascend upward towards paradise. That's correct, right?
And the supreme being is also.
And the supreme being is also involved in that. That's exactly right. So think of it this way. Every act and everything you experience in your life, no matter how small or big it is reflected back through this circuit, the intelligent ministry circuit, to the local universe mother spirit and to the infinite spirit, but it also goes through what? The 7th master
Master
spirit,
spirit.
which is part of what? The
The
supreme,
supreme.
right? The vicegerent of the supreme. So all this information goes through your 7 adjutants, through the local stuff, right up to the supreme, right? Makes sense? This is how it gets there. That's part of this intelligence ministry circuit.
This is what we term like the all in all, the total unity,
The
deity.
unity of the universe, you could call it the cosmic part of the cosmic mind. We're all plugged in together. Okay.
Mhm.
A good example of this is what Dr. Greer was talking about, when we were talking about UFOs not long ago, him contacting UFOs through the mind. Okay. Anything that goes through the mind goes through this intelligent ministry circuit. So this is how he could transmit thoughts to these alien vehicles and to the alien beings, because they are what? They're plugged in to the same mind circuit. Oh, the big light bulb came on, right? We're all plugged in together to the same mind circuit.
That experience with Dr. Greer, or understanding with Dr. Greer
Yeah.
is proof of what we're saying, what we're reading is true.
You got it, Gary. You hit it right
There's
on the head.
validation.
There's validation in it right there, right? That is possible. Everything is possible. Nothing's impossible to God, right?
And
Okay.
he is able to do that because of his previous study with meditation, etc.
Exactly. Being in
Yeah.
touch, right? Being in touch with his own mind, being in touch with mind, thought, transmission, all these things that the military's been, studying for years and years and years, and all these things about astral projection and the whole 9 yards, hypnosis, advanced hypnosis, all these things that I studied back in 1973. I studied hypnosis and advanced hypnosis, somnipulant wake and suggestion, mind travel, and all these things. All these things are plugged into the same thing, right? This mind circuit. Okay. So it's funny how no matter what you learn in life, it all comes back to the same thing. It's all about spiritual life. Makes sense? It's all a big thing together. Cosmic mind, right? Okay, let's go on to number 4, primary Seconaphim. Now, the primary Seconaphim are the very first angels, right? Of the Seconaphim, of the 7. Okay, so let's go through all 7 of them. We're going to go through a paragraph on each and every one of them. Okay, so let's keep moving. Pam, would you take the next one, please?
Primary Seconaphim of assignment to the Ancients of Days are living mirrors in the service of these triune. Think what it means in the economy of a super universe to be able to turn, as it were, to a living mirror, and therein to see, and therewith to hear the certain responses to another being 1,000 or 100,000 light years distant, and to do all this instantly and unerringly. Records are essential to the conduct of the universes. Broadcasts are serviceable. The work of the solitary and other messengers is very helpful, but the Ancients of Days, from their position midway between the inhabited worlds and paradise, between man and God, can instantly look both ways, hear both ways, and know both ways.
So you want to know how the Ancients of Days knows what's going on everywhere, all the time, anytime? Primary Seconaphim, right? They get their reflectivity through the primary Seconaphim, the first of the 7 angels, right? All right.
Roger, I think we should clear up the term reflectivity.
Right.
To me, that is the basic means of communication.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's the basic means of communication. It's the angels themselves are reflections of both ends of whatever they're trying to communicate, right? So let's take an example. Let's say you're watching Star Trek. If you're watching Star Trek, and the captain gets up on the bridge and he sees this big picture of whoever he wants to talk to in front of him, you can see somebody on another ship. That screen that he's looking at and talking at and seeing everything back would be considered what? The primary Seconaphim.
Yeah.
Reflectivity. That's a perfect example of what we're talking about, right?
That helps me because it helps me understand how it works.
Yeah.
And usually when I figure out how something works, I understand it.
Well, you can also think of it this way. It's Zoom on steroids. Right?
My Zoom is messed up. There's no picture.
So you can sit, they can see you, you can see them, and they know exactly what you're talking about, exactly what you're thinking, everything that's going on. And the angel can actually reflect not only the picture, the voice, the meaning, the value, the feelings of the persons that's being involved in everything, just as if the Ancients of Days were right there with you. You got it? All the senses would be there. All right. Okay. This is examples of the primary Seconaphim assignment of the Ancients of Days. And that includes the voices of the conjoint actor, the voice of the seven master spirits, the voice of the creator sons, the voice of the angelic host, the broadcast receivers, the transpoint personalities, and the reserve corps, right? And it says here, the primary Seconaphim assigned to the Ancients of Days are the living mirrors in the service of these triune rulers. Think what it means in the economy of the super universe to be able to turn, as it were, to a living mirror and therein to see and therewith to hear the certain responses of another being 1,000, 100,000 light years distance, and to do this all instantly, unerringly. What does that mean? That means it's happening right now, right then, and there's never a mistake because you hear exactly what they're saying and hearing. All right. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now my screen's, my people's all mixed up. So Jane, I'm going to have you read next. So I'm back on my schedule here. It moved all my people around.
Okay,
Right.
so now we are
Disability to hear and see.
disability, yeah. Disability to hear and see. As it were, all things can be perfectly realized in the super universes only by the Ancients of Days and only on their respective headquarters worlds. Even their limits are encountered. From Uversa, such communication is limited to the worlds and universes of Orvanton. And while inoperative between the super universes, the same reflective technique keeps each one of them in close touch with the central universe and with paradise. The seven super governments, though individually segregated, are thus perfectly reflective of the authority above and are wholly sympathetic, as well as perfectly conversant with the needs below.
Okay, so this ability to see all things that's going on in this seventh super universe, or Vonton, is limited by our Vonton itself. And the Ancients of Days can reflect all the way up to paradise. They can't reflect into another of the seven super universes. And there's a reason for this. Everything goes through the master spirits like a clearinghouse, right? So the Ancients of Days keeps in touch with everything that's going on through the clearinghouse of the master spirits. Okay, and that's why everything is segregated. In other words, the Ancients of Days of our super universe don't communicate with the Ancients of Days in the next super universe unless it's something had to do with the organization of paradise and the administration of all the seven super universes. And to do that, they would have to go through the master spirits. Make sense?
Mhm.
Everybody's got a pecking order.
Is that like saying what happens here stays here?
What happens here in this seventh super universe stays in the seventh super universe. There's a reason for this being this way. If there's a rebellion that breaks out in one of the seven super universes, they do not want that to spread to the other super universes, right? Just like when we went into rebellion with the 66 other planets, we were put in what? Immediately quarantine, right? And there's a reason they do that, to keep it from spreading to other local planets. You know, if you're on a planet that's reached light and life, you don't want to listen to all the garbage that's going on a planet like ours that's so barbaric, right? I mean, it's just, you know.
And Roger, am I thinking right in thinking we're very different from each other, the seven
Yes.
super universes?
We are.
And is it right in my thinking that the only common element is when we all are in the Supreme Being.
That's right. When we are in the Supreme Being, and we won't interact with the beings of the other 7 super universes until we get to where? Till we get to Havana.
To Havana, to the
Right.
billion words. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll have the opportunity to interact with the other beings from the other 7 super universes. Of course, by that
Also-
time, we're going to be a lot wiser, a lot more mature, and a lot more acceptable. That's right. Less
Mhm.
prejudices.
Less
right.
prejudice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
Alright.
is for our own benefit,
This is
not
for
to
our own
confuse us
Right.
and to confuse the other
Right.
super universes. If
Sweetie, would you take the next one and the first paragraph there too? Sure.
The primary Seconaphim are found to incline by inherent nature towards 7 types of service, and it is befitting that the first serials of this order should be so endowed as inherently to interpret the mind of the spirit to the ancients of days. 1. The voice of the conjoint actor. In each super universe, the first primary Seconaphim and every 7th one of that order subsequently created exhibit a high order of adaptability for understanding and interpreting the mind of the infinite spirit to the ancients of days and their associates in the super governments. This is of great value on the headquarters of the super universes, for unlike the local creations with the divine ministers, the seat of a super government does not have a specialized personification of the infinite spirit. Hence, these Seraphic voices come the nearest to being the personal representatives of the third source and center on such a capital sphere. True, the 7 reflective spirits are there, but these mothers of the Seraphic hosts are less truly and automatically reflective of the conjoint actor than of the 7 master spirits.
Okay, so the primary Supernaphim, when they service the ancients of days, okay, are of different types of voice, okay, and that's what they're talking about. There's 7 of these different types of voice that services the ancients of days, right? And what they're talking about in this first one is the voice. The first thing they hear is the voice of the conjoint actor. Okay, that's in the very first one that ever comes out, and everything that they discuss with this primary Supernaphim has to do with things that the conjoint actor or the infinite spirit wants to reflect to the ancients of days, right? And what they hear is more alike what the conjoint actor thinks about this than like the 7 master spirits. So let's go into the next one. We'll see the next one is of the 7 master spirits. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. Gary, would you take the next one?
Number 2, the voice of the 7 master spirits. The second primary Seconaphim and every seventh one
Thereafter.
created inclined towards portraying the collective natures and reactions of the 7 master spirits. Though each master spirit is already representative on a super universe capital by some one of the 7 reflective spirits of assignment, such representation is individual, not collective. Collectively, they are only reflectively present. Therefore, do the master spirits welcome the services of these highly personal angels. The second series of the primary Seconaphim, who are competent to represent them before the Ancient of Days.
Okay, so this master spirit, this Seconaphim reflects the nature and the voice of one of the 7 master spirits. Okay, so there would be 7 of them, wouldn't there? One for each of the master spirits. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So let's go on to the voice of the creator sons. Rodney, would you take that one?
Yes. Figure out where my mute button was.
Oh,
The voice of the creator sons. The evident spirit must have had something to do with the creation or training of the paradise sons of the order of Michael. For the third primary Seconaphim and every seventh serial thereafter possesses the remarkable gift of being reflective of the minds of these creator sons. If the ancients of days would like to know, really know, the attitude of Michael of Nebadon
sorry.
regarding some matter under consideration, they do not have to call him on the lines of space. They need only call for the chief of Nebadon voices, who, upon request, will present the Michael Seconaphim of record. And right then and there, the ancients of days will perceive the voice of the master son of Nebadon.
So every single creator son, all 700,000 of them, would have its own voice of the creator son for that particular Michael, right? So the ancients of days can communicate through that voice of the Michael of Nebadon, Michael of Nebadon, at any time, and it would be just like talking to Michael himself. Okay.
Roger,
Yeah.
it reminds me of a way of that. You know the red phone that sits in the
White
The cat-
House. Yeah.
Oval Office? There's a
Yeah.
red phone.
Right. Yeah. I'll
Right.
just call Michael up here and see what he thinks about it. Right. Yeah.
Did you say there were 700,000 Michaels?
The 700,000 creator sons in service right now. Actually, there's 1 million of them, Gary. I mislead people by saying that, but there's one for each of the 700,000 local universes, right? One Michael for each of the 700,000 local universes.
And we've
There's
got 300,000 in reserve
in reserve. That's right.
for
That's right.
future development.
Future use. That's right. That's right. All right. They're probably training just like Michael did, 1 billion years ago to get ready to do their thing, right?
Mhm.
More than
Wow.
likely. All right. So let's go down to the next one. Pam, would you take the next one, please?
No other order of sonship is thus reflectable, and no other order of angel can thus function. We do not fully understand just how this is accomplished, and I doubt very much that the Creator sons themselves fully understand it, but of a certainty, we know it works, and that it unfailingly works acceptably. We also know, for in all the history of Uversa, Seraphic voices have never erred in their presentations.
So obviously it works, right? They're reflective of each and every creator son. That's kind of nice to have any way you look at it. Right. All right. Jane, would you take the next one?
You are here beginning to see something of the manner in which divinity encompasses the space of time and masters the time of space. You are here obtaining one of your first fleeting glimpses of the technique of the eternity cycle, divergent for the moment to assist the children of time in their tasks of mastering the difficult handicaps of space. And these phenomena are additional to the established universe technique of the reflective spirits.
So, what they're saying is we're getting a little glimpse of what's to come, right?
Mhm.
What we'll be dealing with when we leave this planet. It's going to open up our horizons beyond comprehension, really. All right. All right. Let's see, dear, you're up next.
Though apparently deprived of the personal presence of the master spirits above and of the creator sons below, the ancients of days have at their command living beings attuned to cosmic mechanisms of reflective perfection and ultimate precision, whereby they may enjoy the reflective presence of all those exalted beings whose personal presence is denied them. By and through these means and other unknown to you, God is potentially present on the headquarters of the super universes. Wow.
So literally, God the Father can see what's going on reflectively through the ancients of days and through all these mechanisms to anywhere, any place he wants to, all 700,000 local universes at any time, right? Or at the same time, if he chooses to. It's beyond comprehension to us, Gary, would you take the next one?
The voice of the angelic host.
No, the ancients of days perfectly reduced.
The ancients of days, okay, excuse me. The ancients of days perfectly deduce the Father's will by equating the spirit voice flash from above and the Michael voice flashes from below. These may they be unerringly certain in calculating the Father's will concerning the administrative affairs of the local universe. But to deduct the will of one of the gods from a knowledge of the other two, the three ancient of days must act together. Two would not be able to achieve the answer. And for this reason, even where there are no others, the super universes are always presided over by three ancient of days and not by one or even two.
So the only way this works is if all three ancients of days are present. Why do you think that the ancients of days can't leave Versa, right? They all have to be present all the time, right? All right. That's what they call them, ancients of days, probably. All right, number 4. Rodney, would you? Oh, we're at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep going, keep going. Having so much fun.
Yes.
Okay, let's have a little prayer and we will quit for tonight. Diane, would you like to close this tonight in prayer?
You're muted.
Every time, honey, you go ahead. I'm sorry. I forget to push this little
She
button.
forgot to hit the
I'm like
button.
here in my
Father,
living-
thank you for bringing
here.
us together tonight. Thank you for this wonderful revelation. Thank you for these close friends that we share this each night. Thank you for this knowledge that we might enhance our ability to understand you and enhance our ability to understand God the Father, God the Son, and God the Spirit, and the Michaels, the creative Mother Spirit. We thank you for all these things and say this in the name of your Son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
And
Thank you.
for joining
Thank
us
you.
at home. Please come see us again. Let me stop the live here. Okay, and then stop the recording. Yeah, stop your